The first time you promote for something, that there's pent-up demand. So again, we've talked about this on many different episodes about how you have your raving fans or or hyper responsives and people that are just going to go and buy anything you tell them to buy because of the relationship, because of the trust, because of the rapport. And this goes for everyone who's building any type of an audience, period. And this is why even like your first launch can do so well, because you have that pent-up demand. And that works for affiliate offers as well.
Hey, Launch family. Before today's episode, do me a quick favor. Make sure to hit subscribe or follow in your podcast app. It helps grow the show, and you won't miss any upcoming episodes. Also, remember to check the show notes. There's some free bonuses and goodies in there every single episode. Now here's today's Dare to Launch.
Hello, Launch family. This is Dare to Launch. My name is Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Jeff Walker.
Hey, everybody.
And we're also joined by our other co-host, Mr. Dan Walker.
Hello.
I don't want to sound creepy, but I've been creeping a few pieces of content, all right, because we're kind of building some things out. And Jeff, I saw something that I wanted to bring up for you, okay? I saw we've talked about your first launch. We've talked about some of your big launches in the past, right? 7 figures, etc. But I saw a sequence where you did it was early on, it was like 110,000. And then the next launch you did was over 600,000. And then after that, you had another launch that was 3.7 million. So do you know the ones I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay, I imagine you wouldn't forget it.
All 3 of those are like 3 of the most memorable launches I've ever done. So I remember them well.
Okay. Because I got to ask, like, those 3 things stood out to me because to go from 100,000 to 6 times that, 600,000, there's got to be something that happened there. And then to go from 600 to 3.7 million, that just sounds mind blowing in terms of how to grow that fast. So I guess my main question is, how did you do that?
Well, there's another piece in there too, was between the 110,000 and the 600,000, they were only about 7 months apart. And in the middle of that was my partner stole my business and I had to start on a new business with no list whatsoever. So that was in between, it was 7 months apart. And in between those, or in the midst of those 7 months, I lost my business, had to start over. And the big difference was affiliate partners. So with 110,000, I didn't have any partners. I just had my list. I was just mailing to my list. There wasn't social media, didn't even exist back then. And then I lost that business and I had to start over from scratch. And it was the business I'm in now, which is teaching people how to launch, selling my product launch formula course. So for that launch, the October 2005 was a $600,000 launch. And I had made a lot of friends in the industry by going out and helping people over the years, just helping them with their launches, teaching them what at that point was a brand new methodology. And 3 or 4 or 5 of the top people in this industry of teaching people how to grow online businesses, I had helped all of them. And so they were happy to promote for me. And they came on board as my joint venture partners, my affiliate partners. And I just went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in a span of a few weeks.
So all it took was a few good partners to really grow that. Man, I was hoping there might be some big lessons in here for people. Maybe
I think there's probably some lessons.
Well, how do I get myself a big partners or some of these big partners like that to be able to promote an offer to go up to 7 figures or beyond?
Well, I mean, there's a saying, dig your well before you're thirsty. And so I think I don't know, it was around 2003. I think the first ever marketing event I went to was in 2000. Then I went to another 1 or 2 in 2001 and then 2003. And I was just getting to know people in the industry. And a lot of those people were in this industry, even though I was my market was teaching about the stock market. That was my first business. I got to know a lot of people that were teaching about marketing and building relationships with them. And beyond building the relationship, especially building value, helping them out. And even though it was only a 7-month gap between those two launches, I had been building these relationships for a couple of years before that.
Is it the same process nowadays? Like we still got to get someone who's a partner onto your offer. And if I'm a partner looking at things nowadays, what am I looking for? Like how do I get a partner to want to promote for me?
Well, I think that we've talked about this many times in this on our various episodes, is that business is a relationship game. And so every way that you build relationships in real life, it's just no different. And so you always are looking to build relationships. But these days, for us in our industry, one of the interesting things that shifted for us in the old days, for like that $3.7 million launch, we had every single person that was teaching about online marketing was promoting. And obviously that's an exaggeration, not every single person, but it was a smaller market. And PLF came out, we had so many success stories, and we were just able to attract far more affiliates. But in those days, it was people who had businesses where they were teaching people about marketing. But the evolution that we've seen over the years is nowadays, it's almost all of our top affiliates are people who came into our world through Product Launch Formula, got results with Product Launch Formula, and are just super excited about sharing this work. So if you look at our top, I think like our number one affiliate for about 7 or 8 years, they were not teaching about marketing. Their business isn't teaching about marketing. In fact, the last 2 years, Emma and Eleanor out of Australia, they teach breath work, parenting through breath work, and they've been our top affiliate. So I think one of the best ways to get affiliates these days is to get results for your people and turn them into raving fans that want to promote for you.
If somebody's got a great story with your product, it only makes sense that they might want to share that with their people too. Like I know when we work with affiliates on my side, it's often a question they have. If somebody is in like the knitting niche or an artistic niche or something completely outside of business, is like, how do I introduce this to my people? It doesn't seem like it's necessarily in alignment, but I think that when you dig in on your story, a lot of people are curious about what does it take to become successful like you, like that person. If you're the influencer out there and you've got a lot of people following you, I think there's a lot of people who are following you because they want to be like you in some capacity, whether that be through the artistic skill or your genius zone, but also probably because you're pretty good at this business side of things too. Maybe you can speak to the alignment that people look for in terms of an offer to promote to their list.
Especially if you're somebody with a business similar to ours, where it's a personality driven business, then I think you just really nailed it right on the head there, Chris. Like, I think even personally, the folks that I follow, the personalities that I follow, it's so much because I admire them, or I like that personality. Like maybe there's a specific interest and that's the reason why I'm following them. But you live in a world where there's so many personalities out there. I think so much of why any one person is going to attract people to follow them, it's not just because they're teaching people how to grow a business online. Like, there's a lot of people who you could learn that from, and we attract the people who want to do it the way that we want to do it. If you're in a hobby niche, then you're probably not the only person in that hobby niche teaching it, but you're the one that your people are following because they want to do it like you did. And so I think that that's one of the main differences in what can really set, I shall say it in a slightly different way. So I think that's actually like one of your biggest advantages, as if you're looking to either be an affiliate for someone and promote something that has worked really well for you, or if on the other side and you're trying to get people to promote for you, like finding people who have that personal connection, have that personal story. That's what separates an ad read from a endorsement. That's what separates just from like, okay, someone paid me for my time, and so I'm going to read this ad out, and then it's just an advertisement, compared to someone saying, like, compared to it's like the friend taking you aside and just being like, hey man, I think this worked for me. I think it's going to work for you. Like, one of the hardest things to do in, I think, business in general, but especially in online business, is to build that trust, right? So if someone's already got an audience, if you've already got an audience, or someone that you're considering having, asking to be an affiliate for you, if they have an audience, like that trust that's been built between the influencer, the personality, and the audience, that is such an important and powerful thing, because that trust can be transferred, right? So if you got something you really believe in, you're like, hey, that you can leverage that trust, and then it just becomes so much more effective.
It's all about trust. When I was recruiting people for a weird knife selling job, right? I know this is coming up again, but it's been a few episodes since I talked about selling knives, guys. So I'm going to bring it up again. But this one is something that we used to do a lot of. Was we'd ask people who were very successful at selling knives to recommend their friends to the job. And the reason we did that is because it was hard to believe on the front end that you could sell knives. It's tough to tell people that, right? But then when you actually have your friend who calls you up and says, hey, I just made $1,000 my first 10 days. Oh, really? How'd you do that? Well, I made it by selling this cool product. There happen to be knives. They're way more likely to check it out because of that actual trust that was there. And out of all the people that we would say recruit, we wound up getting almost 30% of our business from what we call personal recruits, people who would, and it got as much in some offices up to 50% of their sales. Is that kind of a similar percentage for when you guys are doing launches, or is that kind of an expectation when you do an affiliate launch that they're going to bring in them like a very significant amount of business like that? Or
When I think about it, like, I mean, who else has tabs open on their browser right now, something that they want to buy or they think is really interesting, and like the only reason you haven't bought it yet is because you're just not quite sure that you believe them. Like, I'm gonna call things up and I'm like, yeah, this looks awesome. If it is what it says it is, then it's awesome and I want it. But there's still that little bit, that's the part I'm trying to decide on. So like, if I have a second source to somebody I trust that says, yeah, they're legit, like, okay, cool. It gets you right over the hump.
yeah, the trust is so crucial. And isn't it more important now than ever because of the competition? At least in my mind, there's so many influencers, there's so many people selling something online. There's every social media swipe, there's another person offering me something, but most of them are strangers. And most of them are people I've never heard of or I've never seen before. So it's pretty hard for them to connect with me on, say, a cold audience, perspective. Maybe I'm guessing like essentially partners are like that cheat code past the cold audience problem, right? Like the gap in the cold audience to becoming your raving fan. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, the term we use is endorsed traffic. So if you have traffic coming in from a partner that's endorsed, they've given you an endorsement. And the difference between endorsed traffic and, say, paid traffic or even social media traffic is just night and day. We see the numbers. I mean, just an opt-in rate. If you're running a paid ad, it can be all over the place in terms of the ad strategy, but it might be you're getting 20% opt-in or 30% opt-in. But with an endorsed traffic, with a JV traffic, affiliate traffic, you could easily be getting 40, 50, even 60% opt-in. And when it comes to actually making the sale, the conversion rate is way higher with endorsed traffic. So getting endorsed traffic is amazing. Sending endorsed traffic is amazing. If you're out there listening and you've got any type of an audience, and I hope you do, I hope you're actively building your audience, your ability to take the trust that you've built up with those folks and point them wherever you want, definitely point them at your offers, but you can also send them to affiliate offers that you feel in alignment. And that's what our business has been built on. 100,000, 110,000 to 600,000 based on endorsed traffic. And then to 3.7 million, 3.73 million. That was the one where I did $1 million in an hour, in less than an hour, because of endorsed traffic. And the funny thing is in the olden days where online marketing, having an online business was unusual. Now it's like everyone's got an online business, or they know someone that's got an online business. And that's why we have people like MNL or like Amy Small And Amy's been on the podcast before with us. And Amy was one of our top affiliates. She'd never done an affiliate deal in her life. She was just selling her knitting, her knitting patterns and her yarn. That was her business. And it's an amazing business. Definitely go listen to the episode we did with Amy.
Dare to Launch number 20. I'll link it in the show notes.
Dare to Launch number 20 is an amazing episode where Amy talked about all kinds of cool stuff, including building community, including putting transformation into your offers, even if you're selling things like yarn. But this was the first time she ever promoted anything. It was for Product Launch Formula. And you're like, what does yarn have to do with Product Launch Formula? Well, what it has to do with is everyone in Amy's audience is online, and everyone has watched Amy build her business, and everyone there following her has some level of affinity towards Amy. And she could just say, hey, if you've ever wondered how I built this business, I know some of you, you're curious about that. This is the strategy I used. Go learn from this person that I learned from that enabled me to build this business and to be able to show up and serve you in the way I do. And so it just, when she has that level of connection with her audience, and then she just takes that and points it in our direction in a congruent and transparent way, then that's where the magic happens.
And Amy really did have a tremendous connection with her audience, and her story was so powerful because so much of what she's been able to build was through utilizing Product Launch Formula and all those things. So for her, it was pretty easy to just sort of say, oh, this was my story. Here's a little peek behind the curtain of how I built my business, And I think we even gave her like swipe copy that was exactly that, essentially, right? How to make it easy for people. Maybe you can talk a little bit about like working with affiliates as a person who might be wanting to attract affiliates or be a great affiliate for someone. What are things that somebody needs to have in place, like things like swipe copy or other, other things maybe I'm not thinking about?
I mean, from a couple directions, we spend an enormous amount of effort. Like literally a year we spend planning and doing one of our launches so that we can support our affiliates and give them the tools they need to promote. So we are giving swipe copy. So swipe copy is basically copy that's meant to inspire them, to give them ideas on how to promote. And in fact, we have 2 levels of swipe copy, or 2 types of swipe copy. One is for people who are in businesses where they're teaching marketing or teaching business building. And one is for people like Amy, who they're in a tangential market, a market that doesn't have anything to do with how to make money online, how to build a business online. So we have 2 different levels of swipe copy. We give social, like stuff to use in your social. We'll literally get on and do strategy sessions with our top affiliates on how they can put together a great promotion. And we'll go to, all the end, every end of the earth or whatever. What's that saying?
Till the end of the earth, right?
Something like that.
It's something like that. Well, we just had a meeting about that. Like when this comes out, it might have been a month ago or something, right? Because we record ahead of time. But like last week, we had a meeting about the masterclass, which is coming up. And it's not coming up next month. It's coming up like 6 months from now or so, or a number of months from now. So it's like we start early. I think is the other thing when you have a big promotion like this. And a big reason we start early is because of the needs that affiliates have.
Right. Yeah. If we were just doing a launch, an internal launch just to our list, we can plan that in a few weeks. But for a launch with partners, that's like we're spending a year to plan that thing. So that's like one side of the coin. The other side, like if you're going to promote, like whenever I go to promote for something, I'm always looking to tell the story of my connection to that thing. How has this thing that I'm promoting, how has that impacted my life? How's it changed my life? How's it helped me? What results have I seen? What's my connection to the creator of the product or offer? So I'm always looking to try to create that connection, so that to give me a lever to promote with.
So I'd like to back up a little bit further, actually, because this is something I've been thinking about kind of throughout the whole thing. But it's like if you're looking to best support people who are coming in, like the number one thing you can have is a really, really great offer and a really proven offer, and something where you can say, hey, this converts, because like there's a lot of reasons that someone might want to mail for you, right? That someone might want to become an affiliate for you, and it can build your relationship that the two of you have. It's a great way to get on someone's radar or to make connections. It can be a really great way, honestly, if you mail for a really great launch, it can be a great way of building your own positioning. Like you're leading your people to something that's really going to benefit them. But one of the big reasons too is it's a great way to add profit into your business really, really quickly. It's a great way that if you send people, like it is such a win-win situation. Like if you send your people to a really great offer, then a really great launch plan, then the actual launch content that person's putting out is going to be valuable. Your people are going to learn things. They're going to attribute that to you. They say, oh yeah, I got sent this place by so and so, and it was really, really great. They buy the thing, they have results with it. All that still ends up training back to you. And by the way, if you mail for something, you make sales, then you make commissions off those sales. So it could be a way that, make a pretty significant amount of money just by sending a few emails and have your people like thanking you for sending them, but all of that comes back to first having a really great offer and a really great launch plan. So, that's almost like the one little caveat here that I want as we're talking about how great it can be to be an affiliate or how great it can be to have affiliates, is that all of it's contingent on a really good proven launch plan and a proven offer. Like knowing that the people who come into there have a high chance of converting into clients and actually buying the offer, and that the people who don't buy still have a really great experience.
The difference between the 600,000 and the 3.7 million is the 600,000. I got there because I went out to events and I built these relationships and I helped people, and like the top 5 or 6 people in the industry I knew personally, and they all got on board. And then when they got on board, another 10 or 15 of the top people got on board because they saw those top 5 or 6, and I was able to do $600,000. But then the 3.7 million, that was about a little more than a year later, year and a half later. And in that time, what happened in that year and a half was people saw that first launch and what I delivered in terms of that experience. And they saw the results that people were getting with the product. So I had this enormous social proof that they knew I was going to do a great launch, and they knew I had a great product. And that's where I went from, these 20 great affiliates to having 150 great affiliates, and went from 600 to 3.7 million.
Wow. I mean, that's, that is such a huge part of what I hear from affiliates too, is that they have limited time in their schedule to promote, as we all do. There's only 52 weeks in a year, but to have to pick out the ones where they know their people will be, loved and create impact, and yes, also convert. And the overwhelming thing, at least here from our affiliates, is that they like that they can trust the way we handle that traffic. And I think that's something people have to think about when they consider who they're promoting for, or who they're allowing to use that trust that you've built, is bringing it into a community that you yourself might actually encourage people to be a part of, right? And you yourself have got value out of. So I think bringing people up in your own community to be affiliates makes a whole lot of sense if you're looking to build an affiliate program in your community. There is a lot of variance between how partners show up and how people get results, right? I'm curious, like I've seen a lot of things working with affiliates that people sometimes they show up very differently, or there are things that work. What are some things you've noticed that really work for affiliates when they show up and they see conversions and their people, are loving the process?
The number one thing is, there's this phrase. I don't know how common this is. Do you guys know this phrase? Are they willing to go to the mat? Do you know that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's what it is. It's like, if you're going to promote, and I think if you're going to promote, you might as well be all in and really try to do well. It sounds obvious, but sometimes I see people just do these offhanded type of promotions, and you're like, what were you even thinking? It's like, it's just having an intention of doing well. And it's not just like, I'm going to send an email. Sure, I'll promote. I'll send an email. I think it's like putting together a plan. And when we promote, we put together a plan, and we'll look at like what's the launch going to be, what's the offer, what's the sequence, what's the pre-launch sequence, what's the open cart sequence, and then we'll start to build out our own sequence around that. And again, I'm always looking for that story. What's the connection to this? We just did a promotion recently for someone, and this is someone who I've known for 15 years, who's been in my mastermind for 15 years. We've been promoting for him for a decade. We have our own case studies of people that have gotten results with this offer. So we share those results, and we go all in. And I think that's the difference. Is like, don't think you're not just going to do well promoting if you just do sort of an offhand, yeah, well, I'll post in social about it once or twice, or I'll send an email. You have to be all in, just like with everything. I mean, everything in business, everything in life, you can either be all in or you could be half-assed about it. And so if you're going to be if you're going to do well as an affiliate, put a little effort in. It's like everything in life.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mindset of an affiliate who is all in versus an affiliate who's just sort of dabbling along the way. Can someone be all in even though if their first time being an affiliate? Do you think that that's possible, or does it really take a few tries?
Yeah, and I mean, I think some of the copy that I've seen get sent that I've liked the most from new affiliates for us is copy that's along the line of like, hey, I don't usually talk about how I grew my business, but honestly, it made a really big difference to me. And I know there's some people on my list who also are going to want to learn this sort of stuff. I get people asking me about it, so I thought I'd share. Like people who just lean into that in a very authentic way and just lean into like, hey, I don't normally do this, and it isn't something that I'm super familiar. Like, yeah, they lean into the fact that it's not a slick, polished thing, and it is their first time doing it, and it's just coming from a place of like, hey, I'm sharing this because I think that if you're like me, this could really help you. Like, that's the sort of stuff that's just really grabs attention from their audience and drives eyeballs. Like, and we've seen people do really well, like astonishingly well, honestly, for like not only their very first promotion with us, but just their very first promotion ever, because they've leaned into that fact that, this is a new thing for them, but they have something to share.
The first time you promote for something, that there's a pent-up demand. So again, we've talked about this on many different episodes about how you have your raving fans or or hyper responsives, and the people that are just going to go and buy anything you tell them to buy because of the relationship, because of the trust, because of the rapport. And this goes for everyone who's building any type of an audience, period. And this is why even like your first launch can do so well, because you have that pent up demand, and that works for affiliate offers as well. So I think your first promotion, you can absolutely come out and crush it. And it really it takes nowhere near as much effort. So that's the plus side. Now, I've also known some top affiliates that say, well, I love the second or third or fourth time I promote something, because now I've built this up. I've been telling my people about this thing, about this relationship. So I think it comes down to everything in life. We all have strengths and weaknesses. And so whatever your situation is, just lean into your strengths. So if it's your first time out, you've got that pent up demand. And just like Dan said, it doesn't have to be fancy copy. It's like, hey, people have been wondering how I built a business. This is how I built the business. Go check it out. It's that simple.
The other thing I think we haven't even talked about too is the fact that there's no delivery on the other side too. Like a lot of people, when you do a successful launch to your people, an internal one, and then you sell a bunch of seats to your product, then you're spending the next 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it is, delivering on that product. And you're just as busy in many cases, or sometimes busier, because you're over delivering on that. Whereas with an affiliate launch like this, you kind of just work hard on the front end, and then it is all delivered by us or by the person you're affiliating for on the other side. So there is an ease to this, in fact, that you can kind of launch on the front end and not have to worry about all the back end of having to deliver that product. And unless you are giving bonuses, which I think is another thing I've seen affiliates really do well, is create bonuses that entice people in and bring them more connection with you. Like I know I've talked to a few affiliates that when they've promoted for us, they've created packages that also enhanced what they were doing with their markets. So sometimes it was like one-on-one calls where they got a chance to meet with those people who were really excited about building their business, and they coached them a little bit through it, and it gave them a deeper connection with that side of their list and that type of client, which was interesting, I think, for affiliates to have that experience.
Another thing is margin. Depending on what you're delivering and how you're delivering it, a lot of our products, we spend a lot of money to deliver the experience. And so your margin might be 30% or 40%. In other words, for every $100 you sell, our profit margin might be $30 or $40 instead of $100. But if we sell an affiliate product, that $100, we're probably going to end up with about 98 of those dollars. So the margin is so much higher on affiliate promotions in general. And then to what you were just speaking about, Chris, you can often a great way to do better in an affiliate promotion is to offer some type of a bonus. And again, that bonus, think about what your story is, what your story is with the connection with either the creator or the product, and what kind of a bonus can you deliver that would round out the offer for your people. And then a super advanced way, which is what you were just getting at, Chris, was we've talked many times, again, about the hyper responsive. So the people that are your raving fans. And the more you can grow your connection with those people, the better for your business. And if you offer a bonus for an affiliate promotion, and that if you think about that bonus, it's like in making that bonus, how can I create a greater connection with my people, especially my biggest fans? That way you can have a lot of strategic benefits to your business way beyond that promotion. So if it was, I'm just going to do a Q&A session, everyone who buys through my link, after you finish the class, I'm going to do a Q&A session with you, and then you just get on and answer some questions for an hour. But now you're face to face with some of your best people. Good things will come from that.
Definitely. I mean, I've talked to affiliates that were doing Facebook ad courses and then wound up doing Q&As during the launch process that got them clients and people opting into another course that they had or doing things like that because they had made that connection, or people looking to, go deeper with launching a business just like yours. I think of, some of the surface pattern design people we've had who have launched in PLF or done our affiliate launch, but then they created communities around that then they got to help and serve at a deeper level, as they continued in their own communities around surface pattern design and launching that business. So really, it can be a catalyst to so many more things than just one affiliate promotion. Are there any other final thoughts on how to go from 600,000 to 3.7 million, Jeff, around partners? Because I feel like we could wrap this up now and people got a lot out of it. But I wanted to ask, is there any final thoughts on how to get that massive growth quickly through partners?
Well, Chris, first of all, at some point we need to do an episode where I tell the story behind that $3.73 million launch, because that's not the biggest launch I've ever done, but it probably has the craziest stories from that. So the reality is that if you're going to grow with partners, it might sound like a quick fix. It might sound like just a quick infusion. And in fact, the way we're even framed it in this conversation, I went from 100,000 to 3.7 million. The reality is in business is a relationship game, and affiliates and joint venture partners it's a relationship game. It's a long-term game. We have partners that have been promoting for us for a decade now. I would highly encourage you considering using partners, having partners, doing a JV launch. It's super, super powerful. It's a great way to grow, but you have to have a great offer. Like Dan said, shouldn't be your first launch. You need to know what you're doing. You have to be really focused on taking care of your partners. Like when I go into a JV launch, it's like literally the most important thing on my mind is not how much money am I going to make, but it's how much money am I going to make for my partners? Because I know that to keep that long-term relationship, I need trust, and that trust relationship with partners is the absolute number one thing. So yeah, absolutely highly recommend being an affiliate and doing affiliate launches, but understand it's a long-term game. It's a relationship game. And if you come at it through that lens, then you should do well.
Well, Launch family, thank you so much for listening. And we hope this conversation inspires you to dare to launch.
Hey, Launch family, real quick before you go, if PLF has helped you or inspired you, this is your chance to share it and to get paid for it. We're opening the doors for PLF partners and affiliates. And whether you're in marketing, knitting, breathwork, or any other type of niche, if you've got a story and a following, this is your moment. We'll give you everything you need: swipe copy, strategy support, and a world-class launch built to convert. Head on over to productlaunchformula.com/affiliate to join our PLF affiliate team, and we'll turn your story into some real momentum. Come on, we dare you to launch.